Alrighty, welcome everybody to the first episode of Christian Sports Podcast. We're talking a lot of football. It's probably our main focus, and we'll dabble into a little different things as we go throughout the different seasons of sports. But we're going to obviously start with football, with again the great part of the year when the playoffs are starting soon, and the games are starting to really matter. I mean, they haven't mattered for a little while now, but now the last week of the season coming up, it's teams clinching, teams have already clinched, stuff like that. But let's dive into the games that just happened this past weekend, with the first game being the Houston Texans versus the LA Chargers. Right off the bat, it was 14-0. I mean, I don't think he was even halfway through the first quarter, and it was already 14-0. And C.J. Stroud was just kind of dicing the LA defense apart. Eventually, the LA defense settled down, and Stroud kind of, I want to say, regressed throughout the game, but yeah, the defense kind of started throwing different things at him and stuff like that. But yeah, the Houston pass rush was just way too much for Herbert and their offensive line. With the Chargers' offensive line being so decimated with injuries, it's just so hard for them to protect Herbert. And I mean, I think Herbert's a great player. I think he's a top 10, probably closer to 5 than 10 quarterback. But I mean, I don't think it's all quarterback centric anymore. For example, the last Super Bowl when Mahomes was on his heater, they were 15-2 and got killed in the Super Bowl because their offensive line was horrendous. It was terrible. But I mean, give or take, the Eagles did have one of the best defenses of all time last year, in my opinion. But still, the Chiefs had a great offensive line up until that point last year because they had so many injuries. But the same thing with the Chargers. They have way too many injuries. I don't really take them too serious in the AFC. I think maybe they can upset somebody like, I don't know, Jacksonville maybe. I don't think they can beat the Patriots. Don't think they can beat Denver. They can beat the Chargers, but I think they'll probably get the 7th seed. I mean, we'll see what happens next week with Denver. I think Denver will come out to play because they want the 1 seed. Because if they lose and the Patriots win, the Patriots get the 1 seed. But Jacksonville's still in the run for 1 seed too. So if Patriots and Denver lose, they could get the 1 seed Jacksonville. But yeah, the Chargers just have way too many injuries. I mean, their defense is good. Their defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter, is a great coordinator. I wouldn't be surprised if he was interviewed for some head coaching jobs in the next cycle this year. But I don't know. They just have no weapons on offense. The Chargers do. I mean, their running back's okay. Like I like him. He's a rookie. He's really fast. I mean, but I don't know. It seems like he was gimpy after one of his touchdowns last week. So we'll see how his foot lasts throughout the rest of the year, and throughout the playoffs if they reach it far. But I don't really, like I said earlier, I don't think they're too serious as a contender. But I don't know. I like Jim Harbaugh. You never know what happens with Jim Harbaugh. But Houston's their defense is easily the best defense in the league. For a while, I thought Denver was, and then I saw Houston play that game against Buffalo a couple weeks ago on Thursday night, and they sacked Josh Allen 7 times against Josh Allen's good offensive line. And that was unbelievable. And if their quarterback starts playing how he's been playing recently, yeah, in the second half of the Chargers game, Stroud wasn't that good, but he's been really heating up recently. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. If they Houston kind of get the running game going instead of just these big plays all the time to their receivers, I think there will be definitely a better offense. Their offensive line is way better than it has been. It's still not great, I would say, but it's definitely better than it's been in the last couple of years for sure. That's why I think Stroud has looked a little better than he has. But yeah, I mean, I think for them it's all about injuries on offense. I mean, I feel like Nico Collins gets hurt a lot. Christian Kirk is always in and out of the lineup, I feel like. I think Chubb has been out recently. I'm not sure if he played last week, but I didn't notice him if he did. I don't think he did. But yeah, I think Houston is good enough to make it to the Super Bowl, depending on how Stroud plays. The defense will always keep him in the game against against everybody. But we'll see what happens with them. They're an interesting team to me. There's someone as a Patriots fan, I do not want to play them in the first round. I think they would definitely beat us. I want to say, I want to say handedly, but I think Drake May would be over the place because the pressure would just. I mean, the thing about Houston, they don't need a blitz because their pass rush is just so good. Their front four is just so good, and sometimes they rush three and they still get to the quarterback, which is unbelievable. Like, I don't think I've really ever seen that in all these years I've watched football. But their pass rush is just unbelievable. And their defensive backs are fast. They hit hard. Their linebackers are, yeah, say what you will about them. They're kind of dirty. But, I mean, I wouldn't want to get hit by those guys. And if I was a receiver, no way. But we'll see what happens with them. Like I said earlier, I think they're good enough to make it to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't say they're good enough to win it, but I think maybe the Rams are still better in the NFC. I would probably say, I think the Bears would probably beat them. I'm not the biggest Bears guy, to be honest, but they're kind of, even though they lost last night, they're kind of making me think a little bit more about them. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how both teams are pan out in the playoffs, because I think the Chargers could be either one and done or make some noise as a dark horse. I'm leaning towards more one and done, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with them. But yeah, that was the first Saturday game. The second Saturday game, Green Bay in Baltimore. Baltimore beat them pretty handily, it felt like. I felt like it was a really, really good, close game until Willis got hurt at the end. I think they hurt his shoulder. He hurt his shoulder in Chicago, like the last play of the game. And I mean, Willis really surprised me last week. He was great. He's like a little smaller than I want. He seems pretty small, to be honest with you. I don't know how tall he is off the top of my head, but that Green Bay coach, like I'm out on him. I do not think he's a very good coach. Like he's a great offense coordinator. Don't get me wrong. He reminds me of a better Josh McDaniels. I mean, they're always contending. They're always in the race and stuff like that, but they never get over the hump. I don't mean Super Bowl. I mean, like, I feel like they either lose in the first round or, I mean, they killed the Cowboys a couple of years ago, but other than that, what have they really done with LaFleur in the playoffs? They had Rodgers that MVP year, but they lost in the first round that one year against the 49ers where Jimmy Garoppolo didn't even throw against them. They still lost. And but, I mean, Green Bay they're just a shell of themselves right now. Without Parsons, all the injuries they have on offense, their offensive line seems to be banged up. Josh Jacobs banged up. I mean, Jordan Love, say what you will about him. I would still think he's better than Willis. But, I don't know, Willis kind of keeps him in there. It keeps him contending still. But I think they just have way too many injuries to do anything this year. We'll see what happens with LaFleur, because he's going into a lame duck year, and they were I guess the front office was just trying to see if they want to extend him or not after this year. So he still has 1 year left on his deal, which is kind of unheard of. Either they're going to fire him or they're going to extend him. He's not going to go in his final year in his contract and play it out. That just never happens in any sport, not just football, but any sport. That doesn't happen. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. But LaFleur, like, he went for it early in the game on his own. I think it was like 35, maybe somewhere around there, and it was idiotic. I'm not an analytics guy. I'm sure the analytics were saying go for it. I thought Green Bay at that point of the game had the momentum, even though they were losing, I think, by one score. But as soon as they didn't get that first down, you just felt the air just come out of the building, come out of the team, and you were like, "Ooh, this is if Baltimore scores right here, it's gonna be tough for Green Bay to come back." The way that Baltimore was running the ball, Baltimore was just Derrick Henry was just unbelievable. He just pushing the ball right down every time. 10 yards, 8 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, 8 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, 8 yards, 5 yards, and then they'd put in Keaton Mitchell, the backup running back to Henry. He would get -1, -2, no yards, and then Henry come back in. It was just kind of funny to see how much better Henry was. And I think the Baltimore run blocking was terrific too. I mean, Derrick Henry just had holes all over the place to run through, and I mean he hit him like that. He's just a freak though. He's just way too big, way too fast for everybody. Even in Green Bay defense, that's really good. Even without Parsons, I think they're still a pretty good defense, but their defense is just they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the run. And then I thought Tyler Huntley played pretty good, actually. Even though he only had 100 yards, and I think he only threw maybe, let's see here, he threw 20 times, and he had 100 yards. I mean, he got the first downs he needed, but this is not like back-breaking stuff. This isn't Patrick Mahomes numbers or anything like that. This is just a backup quarterback who, I mean, Tyler Huntley everywhere else where he was a backup was not good, and I think he's just a good player for Baltimore. Kind of reminds me of like Nick Foles, where he would, and for Philly, like everywhere else he wasn't really good, and then for Philly he won the Super Bowl against my Patriots. I don't really want to talk too much about, but that I mean, yeah, Derrick Henry 36 touches for 216 yards, 4 touchdowns, and his longest was 30-yard run. Usually when you see 216 yards, you have like a 60-yard run in there or something like that. But his longest one was only 30 yards, so he averaged 6 yards per carry, which is insane. That's insane. That's back-breaking for a defense. For a defense to give up that average 6 yards per carry for one player, that's unbelievable. That's crazy. Especially if every first down, I felt like Henry was having a run for 5 yards, a run for 6 yards, run for 7 yards, and then put him in second and short. And then they just get the first down. They got every first down they needed because they were in short yardage, and Henry just set him up all night. And I've really never seen a running back do that so easily, too. Like he was just, I felt like he was untouched a lot. And then that one stiff arm Henry had near the sideline, where he just shoved the guy right off him and put right in midair. He's a freak. He's a freak, and I can't believe how old he is too, and he's still performing like this. And I think this was a huge game for Harbaugh to win. I think if Harbaugh lost this game, he might be done. I think he might be done, especially if they blew it. You kind of, in the fourth quarter, third quarter, second half, you kind of feel the momentum going back towards Green Bay a little bit, just a little tiny bit. And then he just said, hey, I'm not messing around. I'm putting Derrick Henry in this game. Because you remember last week against the Patriots, I think Henry didn't play the last 12 minutes of the game, and he was just shredding us as a Patriots fan. I was very frustrated. I think if Henry played the rest of that game, the Patriots definitely would have lost. I think Harbaugh really kind of. We'll see what happens next week against Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh and Baltimore right now are a good matchup because I think both their defenses are probably the same right now. I think they're not as good as they should be, but they're still good. You know, they still have good pass rushes. I think Baltimore has a definitely better secondary. I wouldn't say that. Maybe I don't know. They're pretty equal, but even on offense, I think they're pretty equal. I think Zay Flowers is definitely better than Metcalf, but Metcalf is not even playing because he was an idiot and punched a fan in the face in Detroit 2 weeks ago. And he's got suspended the rest of the year, which they could have used him last week. I mean, when the Steelers were in the red zone trying to score the touchdown in the fourth quarter, I mean, they could have just. I've seen DK Metcalf time and time again jump over somebody and catch the ball and score a touchdown on the fade route. But yeah, well, I mean, we'll see what happens next week with Baltimore. I mean, if Baltimore gets blown out, I think maybe Harbaugh is pretty hot. But I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel about him because he gets Baltimore in the playoffs every year, and I feel like Lamar is always the problem, maybe a little bit. Even though that second half of Baltimore, the Buffalo-Baltimore game last year in the playoffs, Lamar was great. But the first half, he just killed him. And John Harbaugh leads the league in second half blown leads that are double digit. Like, you can't. I'm not sure how much longer you go with him if this is the result. Especially with these weird articles of Lamar coming out recently where he's sleeping in meetings. They had to push back practice times because he didn't want to wake up early. He's playing video games late at night and stuff like that. Like that was very shocking to me because I've always heard Lamar being a great teammate, a great leader, a great player to have around. And that was very surprising. I wonder if maybe he's just starting to check out with the Ravens a little bit, which, I mean, the Ravens are the Ravens. They're a great franchise. They're one of the best franchises in the league. They have a great owner. They have great fans. I think that stadium is, especially on night games, is rocking. It's a fun place to play, probably. I don't know. I don't know how much these injuries are. I wouldn't say fake, but remember a couple years ago when Lamar was wanted his contract and he hurt his knee, quote unquote, and then supposed he came back to play in the playoffs and he didn't, and Huntley played good. I mean, they should have won that. I think they should have won that game against Cincinnati a couple years ago in the playoffs when he was hurt, but I mean, it doesn't matter. But we'll see what happens with Baltimore. Like I said earlier, it'll be interesting to see if they win or if they lose and how much they lose by. Because I can see this game going down to the wire like every other Baltimore Steelers game. But yeah, I think going back to Green Bay, I think both teams are pretty similar spot with their coaches. Like, we'll see what happens in the playoffs. I think their quarterbacks are both question marks as well. I mean, I love Lamar. He's one of my favorite players, but this year he's just a shell of himself. I'm not sure if those articles they said were right about him, and maybe he's checked out, or if he's really still playing hurt. No one really knows. The play where he got hurt in the Patriots game, I really didn't see much, but I'm not a football player. I don't know, like, people flying at you, hitting you, I'm sure it hurts all over the place. So I don't know how much it hurt, how much maybe he's just checked out. I don't know. I don't want to accuse him of checking out because I think every football player would want to play. But, yeah. Those are the Saturday night games. I thought both Saturday night games were very entertaining. And, yeah. The next game on Sunday I wanted to talk about was Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. It was Pittsburgh 6, Cleveland 10, Cleveland 13, sorry. Pittsburgh needed to win the game to clinch the division, and they lost, obviously. They lost, so next week they have whoever wins the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game will get in the playoffs. I think a lot of people saw this coming, I think with the Pittsburgh's being so up and down, up and down, up and down, you don't know what you're going to get every week. Something bothers me about Rodgers is his body language is just horrendous. I think him on the sideline always barking at teammates, him on the field always barking at his teammates, him barking at the coaches and stuff like that. I don't think that's a good look. I don't know how much longer he can do with that. But the game itself, Pittsburgh I feel like they needed to run the ball more. Like, I feel like their running game has been coming on recently. I don't think their running backs are as bad as everybody thinks they are. So, like, I see a lot of people on the mainstream media like saying they need a running back. I like Jaylen Warren. I think Jaylen Warren's pretty good. I like Kenneth Gainwell. Yes, he's a number 2, but he's a good number 2. And Warren, I think, is a number 1. Like, he's pretty good. He can do all of it. He can pass. He can pass. He's great in the passing game. He's a great runner. I think their problems, their offensive line, really. I don't think it's the running backs. Their offensive line is not very good, and they don't really invest that much into it. I think Rodgers knows that as well. I think he's afraid to get hit right now, which I don't blame him. What is he, 42, and with a broken left arm, left wrist? I'd be afraid too. So I think a little bit is in his head of, hey, I'm afraid to get hit, get rid of the ball, which, I mean, I think every 42-year-old quarterback would be like that too. So, I mean, Brady was like that. But I don't know how Cleveland won that game, to be totally honest with you. I thought Shedeur Sanders didn't play that good. One of his interceptions was horrible. Like the one he just threw it up and just like jump ball, like whoever comes down with it. Like, what are you doing as a quarterback? Like, Stefanski, you should have coached that out of him the first day you had him. Like that, I don't know. But I thought it was funny that Myles Garrett after the game was saying that I think they were more focused on having him not get the sacks record than the Steelers winning, which is I don't know, like there might be some truth to that. You don't know, but what's crazy about Myles Garrett is how far he lines up outside the line. Like he's like lined up, I don't know, maybe a yard or two from the tight end. So he's got so much space to cover to get the quarterback, but he's such an animal. He can do it, and he's so good. Maybe the best, I don't know, defensive lineman I've ever seen in my life. I think he's definitely better than Aaron Donald, who was probably top 5 I've ever seen on defensive line. But is he better than J.J. Watt? I would like to know that. I probably would say he's better than, I don't know. Him and Watt are very, very similar. They're both freak athletes, both animals, both huge, both fast. But the call at the end of the game, I know I have some Steelers fans that were saying they thought it was a really bad call. They didn't call a flag at the end of the game. I'm just done with flags at the end of the game. I'm done with them. I'm sick of flags deciding games. I feel like they're always deciding games, always, and it's always ticky-tack. They're never very obvious, I feel like yesterday, yes, he didn't turn his head. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm good with a no call there. I really am. I'm good with a no call there. I think, like I said before, the refs are just deciding way too many games. I'm done with it. I feel like yesterday they held the flags a lot for a lot of plays. Saturday they didn't. That play, that call against the Chargers, illegal contact, that was horrendous. That was so bad. The Texans wide receiver was just pushing the Chargers guy, and the guy was just pushing him back. Like, what is the Chargers guy supposed to do? Get ran over? Like, what I don't know. That's a side note. But I think I don't know if you're Cleveland, what do you do going forward? Like, if I'm to Stefanski, I might want to explore my options a little bit. Like, hey, like, I know you can't talk to other teams, but we all know they somehow talk to other teams. I'm not sure if I love Stefanski. I like him, don't love him. Same as the GM, like him, don't love him. I feel like their roster's pretty talented. I mean, they just have so many injuries. 1, 2, they do need receivers. 3, their defense is pretty good. If I was the Patriots, I would trade our defense in a heartbeat for their defense. I mean, their defense is pretty good. They got some players on there, and I wouldn't say they're a bad drafting team either. They draft some good players. Like who's the middle linebacker for them? That's an animal. I don't know, number 49 or something. Whatever. Let me see. Whatever number he is, he's such a good player. But we'll see what happens with them. I feel like Myles Garrett, this might be a year where he asks out. I think this is, if he doesn't ask out this year, I mean, earlier in the year he was complaining about how he doesn't like losing anymore, and it's like, dude, you kind of signed up to it when you signed that big contract. So I don't really want to hear it, to be totally honest. Like, that was the game where they played the Patriots. The Patriots killed him, and he was on the sideline because he was mad they took him out when the Patriots are killing him. And in that game, I think Garrett had like 5 sacks or something. It was unbelievable. But I don't know. I mean, with Pittsburgh, I think if they get in, like, I don't want to count out Rodgers and Tomlin because I feel like they always, like, when you count them out, they always come back and win. Like this, like for example, like this year, I kind of counted them out, but they're still gonna. I think they're still gonna end the year off with a winning record, right? Let me check here. Yeah, they're still gonna end the year with a winning record. That's kind of crazy. I thought they were gonna be like a 6-win team this year, but at times Rodgers has looked good, but at times Rodgers has looked bad. I think it's all about Aaron Rodgers, really. Like yesterday, I mean. Yesterday, it was 21 for 39, 168 yards. That's not great. That's not great. And his rating was 64.9. That's terrible, terrible. But like I said earlier, how much is that? How much is the offensive line doing that? I think they need Metcalf back. I don't think the Metcalf trade for them has been very good. But I mean, he's still a good player. Like, I would take him on my team. Without the antics, I think he's a head case. I think he's a flag waiting to happen. But we'll see what happens. I think if they beat Baltimore next week to get in the playoffs, they can maybe beat the Chargers. That's probably it. If they play the Patriots again, I think the Patriots would win. I think if they played the Broncos would win. I think that if they played probably anybody else, they would get killed. It'll be interesting to see how they do against the Jaguars because I don't know. I just don't trust Lawrence. I like the coach in Jacksonville, but I just don't trust Lawrence. But we'll see what happens. I just want to write down a note here. But yeah, the next game I want to talk about was the Bills and Eagles game. That felt like an old school crappy. This is exactly why I don't want domes. Every team having a dome because I love the weather. I totally rather watch that game again than the high scoring Sunday night game, which we'll get to later. But I think those games were a dogfight. I think that the Eagles' offensive line was giving the Bills problems. The Bills' defense has looked great the last couple of weeks. I think McDermott is a great defensive coordinator. Don't know how much I trust him on offense, or not on offense, but everywhere else, especially time management, stuff like that. I don't think I trust him at all. As a defensive coordinator, he's a great defensive coordinator. The way he disguises blitzes, disguises coverages, and stuff like that. Like when they played Drake May in the second half 2 weeks ago, Drake May had no idea what to do. When they played Burrow a couple of weeks ago in the second half, Burrow's Burrow, but it seemed like he was struggling a little bit. When they need to play good defense, they play good defense. I don't think yesterday the defense didn't let them down. The defense played good. They shut down Hurts. I'm pretty sure the Eagles only had 19 total yards in the second half, and the Eagles somehow still won. That's crazy. That is unbelievable. I don't think I've ever heard or seen that ever. But I think that was a great win for Philly. I definitely thought they definitely got lucky. Don't get me wrong, they definitely got lucky. I think Josh Allen, if he made that throw 9 times out of 10 at the end of the game, he probably would get that throw off. But I thought that Josh Allen started clicking at the end of the game. His foot must have really been bothering him because I didn't see him run that much at all. And his feet just scare me just as much as his arm does. I don't know why they at Buffalo at the end of the game took so long to score. I feel like they had the ball for a couple minutes before, and they were messing around with the clock and stuff like that. And I know they didn't want to get Philly to get the ball back, but Philly couldn't do anything on offense. Have a little trust in your defense. I would say maybe run it down. I don't know. And they're going for 2 at the end of the game. If it works, he looks like a genius. If he doesn't work, it looks like an idiot. And I'm talking about Sean McDermott. I probably wouldn't have gone for it there. I don't know. Maybe I would have because you could still win the division. I mean, if I was Buffalo, I wouldn't care if I won the division or not because we have the best quarterback in the world. I still think the Bills will probably win the Super Bowl because just Josh Allen's that good. But I don't know. I think that, like I said earlier, if Josh makes that throw at the end of the game 10 times, he gets that 9 times out of 10. But he needs help. I mean, Brandon Cooks looked good yesterday. That Shavers guy made an unbelievable catch. I think Khalil Shakir is good, but they need a little bit more on offense. I wouldn't be surprised if they went after an A.J. Brown. I think maybe the Steph Diggs situation kind of, messed them up a little bit with if they want to get another wide receiver. All the wide receivers are divas. They all want the ball and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think that it'll be interesting to see what they do. Maybe I don't know. I don't think the Minnesota Vikings would trade Jefferson, but maybe they trade all their picks for Jefferson or something crazy like that. I wouldn't put it past them because I think they know their windows now, especially with Mahomes' injury right now. And I think the league right now is really opening up to the Bills. I think that if they played the Patriots in the playoffs, I think they would beat the Patriots. I think they would beat Jacksonville. I think they would beat pretty much everybody. I think Denver would give them a problem if they're playing in Mile High or at Mile High, whatever the new stadium is called. I still call it Mile High. But if they're still playing in Denver, I think that Buffalo would give them a game. I still think Josh Allen being the best quarterback in the world right now. I think he'd probably still win, especially I think the Denver defense is kind of been a little bit shaky recently. I mean, they're still really good defense. I'd probably put them in top 3 defense, but they've looked more human recently. But I don't know. We'll see what happens what happens with Denver if they beat the Chargers next week. But I think they will. Who knows? Maybe I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see what happens to the AFC. But yeah, I think that win for Philly was a great win from them. Even though I didn't think Hurts played very well, the Philly defensive line is just they're awesome. I mean, Jalen Carter was all over the place. I thought that Hunt guy that was all over the place. I don't even know who he is. He's been a stud this year. He's great. I think Phillips has been a great add as someone who I think all these teams at the deadline should have went after. I do think that it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Max Crosby situation because I can see him a Philadelphia Eagle for sure. Same as Myles Garrett. But yeah, and I think that also that fumble that Allen had yesterday, I think the Eagles got pretty lucky. I think the Josh Allen's arm was going forward. It was like a weird little Brady tuck rule thing. And also I thought Josh Allen was what was he doing yesterday? He had a sack yesterday that took him out of the field goal range. He ran backwards like 10, 15 yards. I don't know. I felt like he knew that he needed to put the team on his back, and I think maybe the moment, I wouldn't say it was too much for him because he's proved time and time again that the moment's never too big for him. But I don't know. It was odd. I've never really seen Josh Allen running around the pocket like that, afraid and nervous and scared. I thought, but he was taking some. I think it was probably because he was taking a lot of shots. Especially right before halftime, Jalen Carter nailed him. He took a big, huge hit. And Josh Allen, I mean, we all know how big he is. You know how strong he is. He doesn't really get hit like that. And the last time he got hit like that was the Houston game when they lost. But that hook and ladder play, though, they did right before at the end of the game, like they did against Houston as well, that was a great play. I mean, I think I don't know how much teams are going to be able to do that because I think they know it's maybe coming now. But like I said, I think Buffalo is good enough to win the Super Bowl. I think their defense is good, not great, good enough. And like I said earlier, Sean McDermott's a great defense coordinator. He's another guy. What do you do? What do you do about him if they lose early in the playoffs again, or if they lose in a bad way again? He's going to the playoffs 7 out of his 9 years there. That's good. Some of those years with Tyrod Taylor and some of those years with a crappy Josh Allen. Josh Allen wasn't that good for the first couple of years. Let's not forget that. He was not a very good quarterback. And then all of a sudden the light just turned on for him and he just turned into one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Now I think he's the best quarterback in the league. But it'll be interesting. I always hear people say, fire McDermott for Belichick, fire McDermott for Belichick. Well, now we know how Belichick is. He's an idiot. There's nothing you want to do with him now. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. And for Philly, I think they're off some of those run plays they were doing, zone runs and stuff like that, and I don't know. The offense coordinator, I think he got lucky yesterday that they didn't lose because I feel like people would be up in arms about him, which they should be. He's not a very good coordinator. They should be a lot better on offense than they are with all the weapons they have. The line's definitely a problem. Like every other team, though, I feel like every team has an offensive line problem. But good coordinators, they'll help your offensive line. Where, for example, the Patriots' offensive line is not very good. But Josh McDaniels has helped the line by disguising stuff and moving tackles, doing extra tackle, extra tight ends, chipping, extra running backs in there to help block. I don't really see the Eagles do that a lot. But I don't know. Maybe I think the Eagles every other year they're good. Like last year they won the Super Bowl. The year before they got killed in the first round by the Bucks, and they had a terrible offensive coordinator. I think Sirianni is not. I don't think he's a very good coach. I think he needs good coordinators around him to win. I think Fangio is a great coordinator. Their defense looked good again yesterday. I feel like their defense kind of has been up and down the last couple of weeks, but I think they'll be all right on defense. They'll be fine. They got Vic Fangio. They got all these studs in the defensive line. They got good corners. They got good linebackers. They're good all around on all three phases on defense. I think they'll be all right for the playoffs. I think the question is what Jalen Hurts are you getting? Are you getting the one that doesn't look very good, or are you looking at the one that wins Super Bowls and plays his best games in the biggest games? That's the question. Like I don't know how I feel about Jalen Hurts because he's played his two best games ever, and they both have been in the Super Bowl. They've both been unbelievable. The first one they lost, he was insane. The second one they won last year. He was incredible. And I don't know. I mean, it's really all up to, I think, Hurts, really. I mean, the offense coordinator is a problem, but if you have a good quarterback, you should be able to overcome that. Saquon Barkley, too. I feel like he's just been a shell of himself. I think yesterday he was definitely battling through injuries, but they just got to get something going. And I know it's probably a lot of the offensive line as well, but I think they can do damage in the playoffs depending on what hurts they get. What hurts they get. That's all. That's all. They can go all the way to the Super Bowl, or they can lose in the first round. You don't know. You don't know. But yeah, that's it for the 4:00 window yesterday. And the late game last night, Chicago 38 and San Francisco 42. That was a good game. I don't prefer watching those high scoring games because I like a little defense. I like defense. I like when stops happen, stuff like that. I saw a crazy stat before the game where San Francisco's punter hasn't punted in the last couple of games. It's just he pretty much had like a month off or something. It was something like that, which is crazy. But even though the Bears lost, I take them more serious. I really didn't take them that serious. I do have a lot of respect for the coach. I think the coach is unbelievable. I think the running game is unbelievable. I don't know if I like Caleb Williams. I don't know. I don't know if he's the guy or not. He makes these unbelievable throws and then he misses the layups. Like that's not sustainable. That's just not sustainable. I think yesterday he played a pretty good game. I think the offense kind of let him down at the end. Really, definitely at the end of the game he could have made a better throw to the end zone. He did have some guys open, but he had a lot of bad drops that last possession. And I mean, they're so young. Like a lot of their players are rookies or in their second year, third year, that they're just going to keep getting better and better and better. The problem is the Bears' defense, I think. The Bears' defense is, I think, very overrated. Their numbers look good, but they're very trick or treat. They if they don't get turnovers, they're not. You can go right through them. I mean, they got good linebackers. Their defensive line is not very good. Your corners are pretty good. Their safeties are pretty good. It's just they can't get any pass rush, especially against last night when Trent Williams is out. And we all know the injuries that San Francisco 49ers have. They had no pass rush. And Brock Purdy just ran all over him. And Brock Purdy had more than enough time in the world. Speaking about Brock Purdy, that was one of the best games I've ever seen Brock Purdy play. I think this is the best Brock Purdy we've seen since he's been in the NFL. They might be good enough to do some damage in the playoffs, even though their defense is horrible. They have injuries all over the place. Their defense is pretty similar to the Bears, I think, but the Bears don't have that many injuries compared to the Niners. The Niners have like their third or fourth strings out there. They have guys who are just selling insurance out there, playing. That's how crazy it is. I saw a number like in injuries with Trent Williams yesterday getting hurt the first play of the game, with Kittle out, with Warner out, and with Bosa out. They had like $100 million of players out yesterday, and they still won. And McCaffrey, I'm starting to get worried about him a little bit, to be totally honest with you. You see him like all game, kind of wincing, kind of looks like he's in pain, kind of looks like he's exhausted. They kind of ran him to the ground this year. Like they got Brian Robinson. He's a pretty good running back. I don't know why they didn't use him more. It made no sense to me. But, I mean, he's still a great player. I mean, their backup tight end's good. They have good receivers. I think they're going to probably make some damage in the playoffs. And it's pretty crazy, like, the amount of injuries they had. And if they win next week, they get the 1 seed in the NFC. And the NFC is way better, in my opinion, than the AFC. But it's pretty crazy with the injuries they had, with all the drama they have with like Ayuk, and it's crazy. It's hard to put into words really. Like it's unbelievable. They should, in my opinion, they shouldn't even be in the playoffs with all the injuries they have. And but Purdy's just kind of put the team on his back since he came back from the injury. Whatever him and Burrow did when they got hurt with their turf toe, like I don't know, like it's pretty crazy how good they both have come back. But yeah, I mean, I think that the Bears can. I think if they play in the playoffs again, I do like the Bears a little bit. But like I said, I think this version of Purdy can get them to the Super Bowl. I don't think they could beat the Bills. I don't think they can beat the Broncos. But I don't even think they maybe beat Houston with that defense. But I don't know. Well, I guess it'll be interesting to see how it goes out in the playoffs because Purdy is, let's call a spade. He's always hurt. Always hurt. I mean, he's a very polarizing player. You either love him or hate him. You think he's good or you think he's terrible. I think he's good. I was definitely leaning more towards terrible. But now, after seeing him play last couple of weeks, I mean, he's been a top 10 quarterback in the league. I mean, he's been awesome. And I mean, hopefully Kittle comes back pretty soon for the playoffs because this is also one of the best versions of Kittle we've seen too. Out of all those great years he's had, this is probably the best one, I think. If he stayed healthy throughout the year, it would be statistically one of his best years as well. But just watch him play. Do the eye test. Don't look at the numbers. He looks great, just like Purdy. Their connection, too, is great. I think if they don't have Kittle in the playoffs, it'll definitely hurt them a lot. But their backup tight end's good. I mean, what's his name? Tongs. He's a good player. If Jawan Jennings is catching the ball, I mean, he's got stone for hands sometimes, I feel like. But if he's catching the ball, if Piershaw's healthy, which he never is, ever, just like everybody else in the 49ers, though. If he's healthy and he's in there, he'll be a weapon. And you saw last night he was making plays. But yeah, that's it for the games yesterday. And here's a couple talking points I just want to talk about was the New York Giants losing the first overall pick. If I'm a Giants fan, why would you want the first overall pick? To trade out of it? I mean, yeah, I guess, but you want to win. You got a young quarterback. You got a young team. I don't really believe in tanking that much. Like, look at the Jets. Look at the Dolphins. Look at all these teams that have tanked. They're in, like, NFL purgatory. They can't get out of their own way. I don't think it's a good idea to be one of those teams that's just stuck drafting at the top of the draft every single year. If you look back on it, it's always a lot of the same teams. For example, my Patriots, like, we didn't tank. We got our guy. I do think there's a little bit of a karma football gods thing going on with teams that tank. There's bad karma and stuff like that. I think it's bad for the game, bad for the team if you kind of create losers, if you will. But so the Raiders now have the number one pick, and the thing about the Raiders, I think they're trying to win. they got an old coach, they got an old quarterback, they got some old players in that team. Jamal Adams, I mean Devin White, who's having a good year. Max Crosby wants to win. I don't know. I mean, they drafted the sixth overall running back. That's pretty crazy. You know how long running backs last? They don't last that long. They're trying to win now, and I think Brady, which we'll talk about later, Brady has not helped them a lot. I think their GM, I do think their GM might be all right. He sounds like his resume is pretty good, but I think the Pete Carroll hiring was just not a good hire. I mean, and I think trading for Geno was just not the right move. But yeah, you saw that Brady wanted Chip Kelly. It was the guy who really wanted Chip Kelly. They paid him $6 million. They paid him the highest coordinator in the league, and he was a disaster. They fired him in the middle of the season. He couldn't even finish in 1 year. But I don't know. I mean, I think the Raiders are going to be crappy for a while. I don't know how I feel about Mendoza being the first overall pick. He's kind of a weirdo. He's kind of a goofball, but I like it. He's a little odd for me, but you know, it's all right. You can be odd, weird, terrible person as long as you're a good player. I think everybody will, you know, take you. Look at Rodgers for all those years. He was a great player, and they just said, all right, let's just deal with his bull crap, and we'll keep going out there and getting the playoffs every year. But it'll be interesting to see how Mendoza plays in the NFL, because if the Chargers draft him, I think that the Raiders, if the Raiders draft him, I think they'll probably need to get a new coach. I think Pete Carroll's probably one and done. If I'm him too, like, why, I know football's my life, but why don't you be a consultant for somebody or go back to USC and do something or something like that? I think that this is just like not good for his resume, to be totally honest. But I mean, he's still, I wouldn't say great coach, good coach. But I think he's done. If you look at him on the sideline, he doesn't. It seems like he's lost a step a little bit too and stuff like that. But yeah, and I think that the recent news of Matt Ryan maybe being hired in the front office of the Atlanta, if I'm Atlanta, I would just be careful. Look at Brady right now. I don't think Brady is helping them at all. Don't get me wrong, Tom Brady's my favorite player of all time. He's my favorite athlete ever. But let's call a spade a spade. Brady's not been good for the Raiders. I think that the owner needs him for money, maybe a little bit, but I don't know. Well, I mean, if I'm Matt Ryan, I would do a lot of research on the job before I get the job with Atlanta Falcons in the front office. I think their organization's not very good. I don't think their owner is very good. They're going to need a new coach. They're going to need a new offense coordinator. They're going to need probably new defense coordinator, because I think Morris calls the defense. And the quarterback, I don't know if he's good or not. He's always injured. I'm talking about Michael Penix. Michael Penix is always injured. I do see a little potential with him. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good, not great athlete. He's just had too many injuries in the past. Like, is he going to hold up? And I don't think so. But they got a lot of their defense is very good. They got good weapons all over the place. They just need a quarterback. And they're an example of a team that just, it's easier said than done to find a quarterback. Once they have a quarterback, they'll be all right. But maybe they won't, because they're Atlanta and they're kind of a loser franchise and stuff like that. But yeah, and another thing I wanted to talk about was after the game, Spencer Brown and the Eagles defensive line was kind of chirping each other going through the tunnel. And then after the game, Spencer Brown was saying how he thought the Jalen Carter poked him in the face and hit him in the neck on purpose. And to be honest with you, it totally was on purpose. It was totally on purpose. That's just who Jalen Carter is. He's a dirty, I wouldn't say dirty player, but he just kind of has to push the line of what's right, what's wrong on the football field, and as a person too. He spit on Dak, and obviously Dak maybe instigated a little bit as well, but I don't know. I think I really didn't like that at all. Especially the guy's eyes. What if you did something to him and hurt him for the rest of his life or the rest of his career? When it comes to the eyes and the head and the neck area, I'm a no on that. What if you hit him so hard in the neck, was career ending or life ending or something like that? I mean, not to be that dramatic, but you never know. You never know. But first of all, that block, Jalen Carter, I didn't realize how long his arms are. That block he had on the field goal, and then he had the next possession that the Bills had the ball. He blocked a pass down at the end of the game. That guy's wingspan is unbelievable. Those guys' arms are massive, and he's just a massive human being. I can't imagine a guy being that big and you're trying to block him all game long. That's crazy. Another thing I want to talk about was the Patriots. Yes, the Patriots finally are back. Clinched the division yesterday. I think that was really good for the year one of the Mike Vrabel rebuild. Let's call a spade again. No one thought this. No one thought they would be this good. I didn't think they were going to be this good. I didn't think Drake May was going to be this good. After week one, I was like, oh my God, do we need another quarterback already? Like, what is this? What is this? But, you know, I don't think they're going to be. I don't know how they're going to be in the playoffs because they have so many injuries. Two, what are they going to be against in a high leverage situation in the playoffs with all these young guys? I think they'll be all right with Variable, but I don't know how May's going to be under pressure. But I mean, Drake May is just playing unbelievable though. Like, some of his passes are unreal. Like, I'm not calling him Tom Brady because no one's Tom Brady, but some of his passes are like, holy crap, where'd you get that from? Did you get that from Tom? Well, is there something in the air right now with the Patriots quarterbacks that Mac Jones and Cam Newton didn't get or something? But that was a great accomplishment for Mike Vrabel and the Patriots to get the division the first year. I mean, I do think, like I said earlier, the Bills will probably win the Super Bowl and beat everybody in the playoffs. But you'd rather lose to, Josh Allen than Trevor Lawrence. I'm not. I think that's loser talk at the end of the day. But I'd rather lose to Josh Allen than a 42-year-old rusty, crappy Aaron Rodgers. To be honest with you, but good for the Patriots. I'm happy. I'm happy for them. I'm happy as a fan, but very nervous for the playoffs, especially with all their injuries. But another thing I want to talk about was the random note is the quarterback in the Saints, Tyler Shuck. Yesterday he threw for 333 yards, 22 for 27. He had 2 touchdowns and his pass rating was 142.7. I know it was against Texans, and I know at the end of the game Kellen Moore felt like he was unintentionally trying to lose the game because he kept passing the ball instead of running the ball to close the game out. But he's got so much experience. You kind of knew he was going to be not good, but okay, he's going to be serviceable. But I think he's been a lot better than serviceable. I think he's been a good quarterback. I think if you're a Saints fan, you have maybe something to be a little bit excited about next year. He's big. He's got a big arm. He's kind of can run a little bit. I mean, not too much, but he's more of a pocket passer than I would say dual threat. But I thought he looked good yesterday. I was pretty entertained by his highlights and stuff like that. I saw the end of the game, so I didn't see all of it, to be totally honest with you. But I mean, you didn't know if there was going to be a quarterback in this draft last year, and maybe there is one. Maybe there is one, and he was in the second round, which nowadays you never find quarterbacks in the second round because quarterback inflation. The guys who should go in the second round, third round, fourth round are going top 10. But yeah, also Philip Rivers yesterday said he has no regrets coming back, even though his arm's terrible. His arm's always been terrible. He looks very out of shape. He's definitely pushing 275 or something like that, which, no fat shaming, but if you're an NFL quarterback, you can't be in that shape and produce. But I don't know, I give him a lot of respect. A lot of respect for being that old, coming out of retirement, and just trying to go out there and help the Colts to the playoffs. Yes, at the end of the day, it didn't work, but I give him a lot of respect for going in there, taking all those hits, and I mean, he can't run at all, so he's just a cone getting ready for players to tee off on, really. I mean, give him a lot of respect. And on our last note, I think the coaching cycle this year was unbelievable. You got Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, Mike Vrabel. We all know how good Mike Vrabel was, and we all know how good Cohen and Johnson were as offense coordinators. It was a question if they were going to be good coaches or not, and they've definitely proven it. Like, I don't think Jacksonville is a serious threat in the playoffs, but what he's done with that team is unbelievable. Their defense is great. Trevor Lawrence has looked better. Jacoby Myers being added to that team has helped them so much. I think they'll definitely win a playoff game. I don't think they'll win 2, but I think they'll win in the first round. And that's crazy from a Jacksonville team that was in the dumps. They had so much drama last year, so much stuff going on, and Liam Cohen just walked in there, keeps saying how much they suck, and just keeps motivating them, and they just keep winning. They just keep on winning. And, you got to give respect to the guy. Same as Ben Johnson. He probably came into the worst situation, if not one of the worst situations, last year because you didn't know how good Caleb Williams was. He got sacked the most out of every quarterback last year. They had to do all this addition to the offensive line, which the offensive line is tremendous now. And he kind of walked in there. He brought his philosophy from the Lions to the Bears. That hey, we're just gonna run the ball and hit you in the face every single time, and they do it very very well with those two running backs, Swift and Manungai. I don't really know how to pronounce his last name, but Manungai. And he's done great drafting so far. I think the Luther Burner pick's been pretty good. I think the Walker kid, that's Caleb Williams' best friend, I guess, has been a good pick. Like the guy I just said, Manungai, he was a good pick. And I'll be interested to see what they do in the playoffs as well. I think they can either be one and done or run the table. Like I think a lot of the teams are in the same bucket. Their defense, like I said, I don't trust, but yeah, the coaching this year has just been great, especially the coaches have been around too that have young quarterbacks like Shanahan and Shanahan. Why am I brain farting? Shanahan and Sean Payton and all this team and Stroud and all this. I love D'Amico Ryans as a coach too, and Harbaugh with Herbert. Herbert hasn't a great year, but he's a really good quarterback. And you look at LaFleur with Willis. Yes, I was trashing on LaFleur earlier, but he's a good quarterback coach. Yeah, I mean, he is. And then you got Mike McDonald in Seattle. I think he's a good coach. And Sam Darnold's a good player. But, yeah, we'll see what happens next week. It'll be a pretty interesting week. You got, the one seeds up in both conferences, especially the NFC. Whoever wins the Seattle San Francisco game gets the one seed, and whoever wins the Bucks Panthers game will make it to the playoffs, and same as the Steelers and the Ravens games I was talking about earlier, and the Patriots Patriots and Broncos and Jaguars are playing for the one seed next week. The Broncos win, they get the one seed, but Patriots and Jags could still get it if Broncos lose. But yeah, it'll be interesting last week. I'm excited for the playoffs. Once we get past next week, I'll probably do like a little prediction and bracket thing and have fun with it. But before we get out of here, I just wanted to make my Monday night prediction. I think that the Rams are going to kill the Falcons. I don't think the Falcons have any chance at all. I think the Falcons are a very bad team, even though they don't look that bad. But they're bad. They're not very good, and we'll see what happens. I think Stafford's going to just throw all over them, and the Rams defense, hasn't been played good recently, but I think they're going to tee off on Kirk Cousins. But, thanks for tuning in to the first episode. I'm excited to see where this podcast takes me, and excited to keep sharing our opinions. I think our next episode will probably be sometime on either Wednesday or Thursday around the playoff. I'm going to probably do a college football playoff prediction and talk about those games and stuff like that. But, yeah, it'll be talk to you guys later, and Happy New Year.